It's Bev again, and in today's video I want to talk about deprivation dieting. And there's many different ways of doing that. It means you're deprived. What does it mean? It's never sustainable. You can't do it forever. There's a problem with the way you're eating in terms of how your body reacts. So examples are, let's say you're eating less than 1,000 calories a day. Maybe you're doing one of those water fasting things for a few days. Maybe you're not eating any carbs or very few carbs. Anyway, there's many different ways of doing deprivation dieting. And what does it do? All of those kinds of approaches to losing weight or losing fat force your body into what I call a starvation mode. And it makes your metabolic rate much more inefficient, and that means you're going to be not as good at burning calories. And when you think of your metabolism, really what that is for your body is your engine, your body's engine. And engines need fuel. And for your body, the fuel is caloric in nature. You need calories as fuel, and you need quality calories, and you need all three macronutrients because they all follow different pathways and circuitries in your body because they all meet different needs, right? I've done videos on that. So we'll assume that for this video, you're cutting carbs or whatever. You're doing one of these things and you're screwing your metabolism up. But let's figure out how that happens. So I'm just going to take simple numbers for this. I'm going to take somebody who weighs 200 pounds. And they go on some crazy starvation diet, right? They're in a hurry. They're not at the gym. They're not lifting weights. They just want to lose this weight. They're only interested in their scale weight. So they go on one of these deprivation approaches. And they manage to get themselves down to 150 pounds. Oh, they're really happy, right? Because they're only looking at the scale weight. But frankly, you can't continue to eat like this forever. At some point, you've got to start eating again, right? So they start eating again, and lo and behold, they're back up to the same weight, 200 pounds. And they're saying to their friends, oh my God, I'm back to 200 pounds. I'm going to have to go on another diet. I'm back to where I was. And you're looking at this person, you're thinking, I don't think so. They look a lot bigger than they did before. They got to be weighing more than 200 pounds. But in fact, they're not. They're not lying. But what happened and why do they look so different at the same weight? So let's talk about it. When you're on a deprivation diet and you're not eating something, and let's take carbs as an example, your body needs glucose energy. So it just begins to eat itself, right? It's not getting glucose from anywhere else. Glucose is needed for energy. Protein doesn't do that, right? It builds, repairs muscles, tissues, bones, whatever. And fat makes and transports vitamins, makes cell membranes. It actually fights body fat. They all have their different purposes. But only glucose will give you that energy. So how does it get it? It begins to eat itself. And does it eat fat? Yes. Does it eat muscle or, the glycogen in the muscle? Yes. So you will dump fat and you will dump muscle. But on the way down on this deprivation diet, you're going to lose a lot more here than you will the fat. And why is that? Because muscle needs calories, and your body, it's not stupid. It's like, well, wait a minute, I'm not getting enough calories, so why do I need all this muscle? I may as well get rid of some of it. Then I won't need as many calories, right? It's only saving you. Now, you begin to eat again. Do you gain fat? Yes. Do you get some muscle back? Sure. Why not? But what has happened is you have made your metabolism more inefficient. And you have less muscle. So when you start eating again, your body, it doesn't need all those calories now because it doesn't have as much muscle, for example. So it's going to give you back more fat than muscle. And the problem with more fat than muscle is that, well, first of all, fat is a different tissue than muscle. You can't change fat into muscle. You can't change muscle into fat. But 1 pound of fat does weigh the same as 1 pound of muscle. So if you have more fat than muscle here, you're going to be bulkier because fat is a much more bulky tissue than lean muscle tissue. So you're going to look different at this 200 pounds than over here because you have more fat. And that's why some people who weigh, 130 and they're lean are the same weight on the scale as somebody 130 who's obese, clinically obese, because this person has a lot of fat and this one doesn't, right? And, personal trainers are always measuring your body fat percentage because it's a really good indicator of how healthy you are and how fit you are. Okay, so we've got this problem going on, and this poor person is like, well, I better go on this diet again. Lo and behold, off they go, down to 150 and back up to 200 again. And the same thing goes on. They're going to lose fat, lose a lot of muscle, gain a lot of fat, gain a bit of muscle, right? It's easy to gain fat. It's really hard to lose it. And it's hard to gain muscle and really easy to lose it. So you can see how these things complement each other. So here we have this person over here. If you look at these metabolisms, every time they go through this yo-yo diet, these metabolisms are going to be worse. So A is going to be bigger or more efficient than B, and B is going to be more efficient than C. So they're making themselves more unhealthy going on these starvation diets. Another thing is, let's look at it a different way. Over here, let's say that at metabolism A, this person was eating 1,700 daily calories, and that was maintaining their weight. They stayed at 200 pounds, eating 1,700 daily calories. When they came back up here, they were like, they started eating as normal, and they started eating 1,700 calories again, but their metabolism just couldn't use all that 1,700 calories. In fact, it was only using 1,200 calories. So where do you think this 500 went? Well, it went down to fat. Okay, it has to go somewhere, right? So we've got a problem. You can't eat as much when your metabolism gets worse. I remember when I first joined a gym at 60, and I was a starvation dieter, right? Clinically obese. And my trainer said, Bev, you're not eating enough to lose fat. And I was like, wow, what the heck kind of a concept is that? But he looked pretty sexy. So I thought, well, he must know what he's talking about. So I just did it and it worked. Okay, so the final thing I want to say about this yo-yo dieting is timeline. Let's say coming down here, you take 6 months to lose that 50 pounds, and it takes you 4 months to gain it back, right? So it's kind of 10 months going on here. Now, you go back on the diet and, because your metabolism is worse, it takes you 8 months to lose that 50 pounds and maybe only 2 months to gain it back. Now, these are not exact figures. I'm just kind of relaying generally what's happening with the body. So it's becoming harder and harder to lose the weight and easier to gain the weight, right? But you're only interested in the scale weight. You don't care how you get your weight down, and you don't care what happens to your biochemical body. But it's not a good choice. You really have to eat quality foods, nutritiously dense foods, and you really should do more exercise. I mean, these are the old-fashioned ways. They take a bit of time. It took me 19 months. But you know what? It took me 30 years to put on that 40 pounds. Why the hell was I going to lose it in 2 months? It just doesn't make any sense. So I hope this helps you understand why deprivation dieting of any type is not good for you. What I'm going to do in the next video, and people are going to hate me, I'm going to talk about the keto diet and why I don't like it and why I would never go on it. Okay? So I'll see you in the next video. Look out for it. And you want to unfollow me because you're a real keto person? I don't care. Okay, bye. Oh, I can never turn this thing off. All right, let's give it another whirl. I'll use